Great afternoon.
I am Apostle Nona Wright.
And I'm Apostle Glenda Wright.
And we are God's girls. Keeping it real.
Here we are again.
We're right here. We're glad that you guys are tuning in with us again.
Yes.
Today. It's a blessing. It's hot, Apostle.
It is.
A lot of things are hot.
I will not complain because I know December and January, February is coming.
It's on the way. So no, we will not complain at all.
Yes.
But we've got some hot topics, some hot things to let you guys in on today. And so we're going to just jump right in.
Yeah, we've been sharing over the last several weeks concerning this national sex education standards that are coming down, bills that are being passed and legislation. And we had been talking about where we were waiting for, it was sitting on our governor's desk, Governor Pritzker. And lo and behold, as we had said even last week, that we felt like this bill would sit on his desk until school started.
Yes.
That would give opportunity to push it through without the end of, or the parents knowing what is actually taking place and what the curriculum is. Well, lo and behold, on last Friday, 2 days after school started, he signed the bill, Bill 818. And we already knew that it was coming down. It was just a matter of when and how submerged it would be and what else would be inclusive of that bill.
Yeah.
And so we're here to talk about it today.
Yeah, the snake slithered, and well, we knew he would, as we said. You know, he's going to wait until school starts.
Yeah. And
school started for Illinois students,
I think Tuesday or Wednesday or somewhere
Tuesday
in
or
there.
Wednesday. Yeah. And the bill was actually signed off on Friday. And so now your kids are in, and the bill is passed. And whereas, they're saying, you can opt out.
Right. Right.
Apostle, you and I both know.
Yeah. We've
already talked about it. We've already given evidence of it. That is not going to be possible without your children coming under a lot of scrutiny and being somewhat ostracized, much like they're doing for those parents that are opting out of the shots, the vaccinations, being cornered, ostracized, put aside, all of those kinds of things. So it is off to the races. It's popping off like we knew that it would. Yeah. But we're still excited, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
We got something going on here.
Yes. Even in the opting out, it's like you can opt out. The language that's describing this whole bill is so subverted and covert to the point to where they make it sound as though this is a good thing for our children, that they need to be educated, they need to be informed and aware of what consent is, what's appropriate touch and that kind of thing, to give us the connotation that they are pushing back against this molestation and sex trafficking and all of that. But really underneath it, when you really look at it, they're talking about inclusivity. Yeah. They're talking about gender identity. They're talking about sexual orientation, all of those things that are incorporated. And we've seen some of the little cartoon things that they are purporting to show the kids as teaching elements, as teaching references. And I'm telling you, it's bad. It's really bad.
It's really bad. And we are going to look at some videos, and while at least one video. Yeah. And while we're doing that, I'm going to search for another one that we want you guys to see. We want you to see some of the actual material that they're going to be using with your children, teaching them this. But the one thing that I noticed, Apostle, out of everything that they're saying, the common denominator here is always the LGBTQ agenda. That is the whole thing. Yes. It is all meant to teach your children to accept, to be accepting of, and to be kind to, and to like, to love, and to not see a difference, and all of those things that that whole agenda is for. So,
which is where all of this bullying things came in. As that began to surface. That was the whole agenda behind putting laws and legislation in concerning bullying. And I get it. No one should be bullied, but that was a whole concept to get us to accept these alternative lifestyles.
And to agree.
Yes.
that, bullying is wrong and no one should be bullied. And now that we've signed off on that, no one should be bullied and it's wrong and it causes all kinds of this, that, and the other. Now that we have accepted that as a truth and we live by that, now they're saying, but this also is bullying.
Right.
Okay, the
Right.
same kind of thing. And so, yeah, it's been a long-standing agenda. It really has. And they've been working on this and working on us and working on the minds and trying to convince and manipulate to get us to this point and beyond. It's not over yet.
It's not.
It's just really starting.
Absolutely, because it has an end goal. This is only a means to an end.
Yeah.
And the end goal is to indoctrinate our children. And you said something on Sunday, Apostle, in your message. You talked about there are two premises here. One is to stamp out Christianity.
Yes.
And the other one, I'm trying to remember what it was that I just looked at it again today. But there is an agenda that is looking to be supported, and this is just the track by which these agendas are being supported.
Yes, and I mean it's to demoralize Christianity, to make it appear as if Christianity is wrong, it's off.
Yeah.
And so we have to really look at the other side of the bigger picture. Yeah, we understand it is this LGBTQ agenda.
Yes.
But on the flip side of that coin, and I have to say the most important side of the coin, is they are trying to remove Christianity as a viable, safe practice.
Yeah.
They're turning on us and asking us to turn on ourselves.
Yes.
Turn against our God and adopt or adapt our lives to these kinds of agendas. And so it's real interesting what's going on. And I am really praying, Apostle, that Christian parents are hearing, believers are hearing what we're saying and not seeing this as something. Here they go again. They're talking about this again. Somebody has to cry loud and spare not.
Yeah.
Someone has to keep these fires burning and keep you aware of what's going on. And so we really believe that is a part of why we here at God's Girls have been raised up to do that.
Absolutely.
We're going to keep it moving.
And our audience and our targeted audience, our focus is on the Christian community.
Absolutely.
Because we are the ones that's being affected. I mean, the world is going to do what the world does. And we, that is what it is.
It is what it is.
We are in the world, but not of the world. But our audience and our focus is to inform the Christian community as to what is taking place with our children. And it has created, Apostle, such a division between Christians.
Sure.
It has created such a division because some feel like, okay, well, I don't see anything wrong with this because they accept the agenda or the narrative that's saying that this is going to help our children and make them aware.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, not really seeing the underlying agendas that's taken place in this inclusivity and bringing us to the place of acceptance and converting our children. The other thing I was thinking about today is that when these kids go to school and they hear this and they become educated and trained based on what they're hearing as their minds are being molded, that's going to create a lot of pushback even within the home with their parents.
Oh, it will.
It will cause authority and that's what it's doing, is diminishing parental authority. And so if a child comes home and say, this is what the teacher says, then they will take, because more than likely the child is with the teacher more than they're with the parent.
Oh, absolutely.
And even that whole thing is...
That's something else. We have 2 students that enrolled in Excel, and they enrolled, well, let me put it like this. Because of some situations that the parents were waiting to happen, they sent them to school for a couple of days in the regular public school sector. Okay. And then when these events that they needed to happen, they immediately pulled them out and said, we're bringing them over to Excel.
Okay.
And so in the process of the initial conversation with the parents to get them enrolled and everything, the first day in school, now this is a second and a fourth grader, I believe it is.
Okay.
Second and fourth grade. The first day in school, the teacher asked them, the second and the fourth grader, so what do you want me to call you?
Oh my.
Okay, now these are children who are they're raised up in a Christian home. Of course, the parents are talking about it. They're schooling their children on these kinds of issues. And they came home immediately and they said to the mom, the teacher asked me, what did I want her to call
Not from
me?
the standpoint of what their name
No,
is, but from the standpoint of their gender.
So now our students are going to school being identified by gender, not by name. By gender and not by name. Let me say that again.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
There was a time when how you were identified was by what you were called.
Absolutely.
But now it is what you call yourself.
So I don't want to be a boy. I want to be addressed as a little girl. Oh,
Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, of course, and you have not only the flip in boy and girl, but now you have the option of being called a they.
Yeah. Yeah. Babies.
Yeah. Being called a they instead of a he or a she, you're a they.
And you suggest or you determine which pronoun you want to use.
Yes, yeah, especially if you're caught in the middle. If you don't know yet what you want to be, just don't call me anything other than that. Wow. So are you ready to go to the bathroom?
Wow.
And
they is a plural. So how do you address a single individual?
Because I want you to understand, they're both, or they're either or.
Wow.
It gives them the option to be more than one.
Yeah.
So yes, they are plural. I need you all to hear what we're saying. I want to read a little bit, Apostle, from the article, one of the news articles that came out regarding the legislation in Illinois. And hear me, people of God. I know there's people that's not in Illinois. Listen to me carefully.
It's in your state too.
It's coming. It's there. Okay, it's just a matter of time. It's a rollout. This is a rollout.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't stop. It's going to roll out to you too. Listen to this. Excuse me. Bill changing sex education standard in the Illinois K through 12 schools have been signed by the governor. Senate Bill 818, which takes effect immediately, adds new personal health and safety education standards in kindergarten through 5th grade. It also makes comprehensive health education more inclusive in grades 6 through 12. School districts do not have to adopt the voluntary standards, listen, unless they teach sex education, and parents have the option to opt out. Now, that's what they're saying, but we know that is, I'm telling you, that's not true. We'll get into that in a minute. Modernizing our sex education, this is a quote, modernizing our sex education standards will help keep our children safe and ensure important lessons like consent and internet safety are taught in the classroom. By working together, we'll continue to strengthen our education system and deliver the bright future our children deserve. State leaders said course materials and instructions with this bill will help students learn about consent and develop self-advocacy skills. Self-advocacy skills. In other words, advocate for yourself. Whatever you want to be, you can be. Self-advocacy skills for effective communication with parents, guardians, health and social services professionals, other trusted adults and peers about health and relationships. I'm telling you, this thing is opening up another Pandora's box with state workers being able to come into families and make accusations of abuse because the parents are not allowing the children to pick what they want to be.
Absolutely. Then it talks about being able to opt out. But if you opt out, how does that affect the child? In the classroom, you're opting out, the parents can opt out, but yet you still have these teachers that are teaching, and some of them may even be, and probably are, more likely than not, are of the other persuasion. They are, homosexuals.
Yes.
And absolutely. So if that's the situation, then how does the parent opting out decrease anything? How does it slow down and keep the child from receiving and hearing what's being taught? It does not. You know, we were in this book, Get Out Now, and I just wanted to get something because it talked about turning teachers into gender evangelists.
Yes.
And basically what they're doing is using the teachers as a means to evangelize these kids and change their whole mindset to mold their minds to believe concerning what they want them to believe. And so in one part it says teachers have little choice but to fall in line. And peer pressure from progressive colleagues makes it all the more difficult to object. Moreover, unless a teacher is already aware of the harm done by gender ideology, she is likely to accept at face value what comes from her principal and external LGBTQ consultants and pass it along to her students. Gender ideologues are well aware of the power of classroom teachers to shape the hearts and minds of their students. They understand that. And so that's why it's coming through the school system, through the educational system. And so it's like, what happened to the parent having the responsibility to determine when their child was ready to hear about the birds and the bees, as we called it, and how children are born and those kinds of things. But this whole thing is not even along that track. It's along the track of acceptance of this LGBTQ.
It really is. I'm looking at another portion of this book. And by the way, this book is really good. It's called, let me get my sticker off of it, Get Out Now. It is by Mary Rice Hasten and Teresa Farnan. Very, very good read. Let me read something that we were just talking about with the LGBTQ agenda. This is entitled Anti-Bullying Programs, the LGBTQ Gateway. So this was the gateway for this. Besides formalized LGBTQ instruction, parents also need to worry about informal elements of the curriculum. For example, welcoming schools, that's in quotes, welcoming schools, the program recommended in the NOVA settlement. This is a settlement that happened in another state. Began as an anti-bullying program peddled by the LGBTQ advocacy group Human Rights Campaign Foundation. Its mission has expanded, and welcoming schools now promote diverse lesson plans aligned with Common Core standards and easily integrated into social emotional learning, or what they call SEL, and anti-bullying programs. An entire set of K through 5 lessons based on I Am Jazz, that's the name of these lessons, aims to expand children's understanding of gender, including transgender. The program cautions teachers that the book simplifies the idea of transgender to a girl brain but a boy body. However, being transgender is about more than just the brain. It's about who you know you are deep inside. This thing is ridiculous. And again, as we said, this was a gateway. Bullying was a gateway for all of this to happen. And so I want you all to understand, we're not just talking about sex education. Listen, when I was in school, we had sex education. I remember the little books and movies and things that we used to watch about the birds and how the egg got in the bird and how the bird would have the egg in the springtime and all of those kinds of things, and the chicks and the chickens. And I remember all of that. But you understand now, they're not showing chicks and chickens. They're showing penises and vaginas, okay?
Right.
To your babies. Please hear me, to your babies. And so I'm gonna find that video. Apostle, do you want? We want to go to that.
Let's go to the video. It's showing and it's depicting how the governor signed this bill, and it's a news interview with a Republican senator as well as a Democratic senator from Chicago that's talking about the differences and the debate and the opponents and the proponents of this whole bill. So just take a listen.
Governor J.B. Pritzker recently signed into law a new measure to update sex education for K-12 schools in Illinois. Supporters say the move will offer age-appropriate information, including teaching younger students about their personal health and safety. But critics say the new standards go too far. Joining us now are State Senator Ram Villa, a Democrat from Chicago and one of the law's sponsors, and State Representative Toni McCombie, a Republican from Savannah in northwestern Illinois, and she opposed the law. Thanks to you both for joining us. So, Senator Villam, let's start with you, please. The new law moves Illinois in line with the national sex education standards. Students will learn about topics that include consent and healthy relationships, gender identity and sexual orientation, and sexual health, among others. Why did you think it was necessary to adopt these standards?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. Look, we've all seen the news. We've all seen the reports. There's been a rise in child sex abuse scandals, sexual harassment in the workplace, sexual assault on college campuses, and bullying of LGBTQ students and people of color. Our youth see this coverage. They need medically and factually accurate information, as well as a safe environment to develop the skills they need to navigate our modern world. Senate Bill 818 does just that. It establishes requirements for public and charter schools that decide to teach this education that is age and developmentally appropriate, medically accurate, and inclusive.
Now, there are other topic areas included as well, including anatomy and physiology, puberty and sexual development, as well as interpersonal violence. Representative McCombie, you say, though, that this bill misses the mark. Why?
Absolutely. Like several bills that is unfortunately passed out of Springfield, they always go too far. And this is just one of those. 6 years ago, there was a comprehensive bill that passed actually by the House sponsor, who also carried this one, Leader Lilly. And that at that time was for 6th to 12th grade. And this now goes from K to 12. And I think the senator and all of us on both sides of the aisle can agree that we want kids to know the difference of good touch, bad touch, bullying, health and safety precautions, also agree about learning about consent. But this here is determined, this curriculum will be designed on the national sex education standards. And that's where I have an issue. I don't understand why we're getting away from the state. Was there any data showing that the state wasn't developing curriculum that was keeping kids unsafe or in a position that they were not able to educate themselves? The age appropriate is also pretty sketchy, in my opinion, because it doesn't define it. So what one feels is appropriate for a K through 3, another might not.
Well, and,
so that's
let's get into that a little bit. Senator Villam, critics say, as we just heard from Representative McCombie, that the standards are not age appropriate. Are they broken down by age group, and how so?
Well, they are, and you give examples. We had a spirited debate in the Senate about this. In younger grades, for example, kindergarten through 2nd grade, the focus is personal safety, what it means to be a good friend, good touch and bad touch, and being able to talk to parents and trusted adults when someone wants you to do something that makes you uncomfortable or unsafe. I'll also add, though, we're not delegating to national standards. We have it in the law that says by August 1 of 2022, the Illinois State Board of Education shall adopt standards with input from youth, from parents, sexual health and violence prevention experts, healthcare providers. Additionally, schools will retain local control through the selection of curriculum and instructional materials. And lastly, a parent or guardian still continues to have the right to opt their student out of instruction. So the argument that we're deferring to the national sex ed standards, I don't buy it. We put it in the law that appropriately, but we believe in our state and we want input from our youth, parents, and teachers.
To that end, Representative McCombie, you've called these standards sexually charged. We just heard from Senator Villam that parents are allowed to opt out. Districts that don't teach sex ed don't have to follow these new standards. Does that address any of your concerns?
Well, I strongly disagree. The curriculum will be designed using the national sex education standards. Now, I'm not saying that you have to use all of the standards that they define. They have several points in that. And one of the things, and it doesn't even say, there's 16 points that they want you to follow, and not one of those is medically accurate. Not one of those. So that's a big deal. They will be designed by this. And when you're talking about local control and opting out, what is wrong with state control? Why are we taking this on the national side? There was 8 Democrats in the House that voted against this with concerns because the state will no longer have control or be able to give input to these national standards. Now, the opt-out is interesting as well, because if the opt-out is not bothering some, then why not an opt-in? And the answer to that is because parents won't opt in.
So, Senator, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, it's important. Obviously, we have age appropriate and developmentally appropriate and medically accurate. When we talk about accurate, I want to give you accurate facts. Check the bill. Go to the website, ilga.gov, Senate Bill 818. It clearly states by August 1st, 2022, the Illinois State Board of Education shall adopt rigorous education standards with the input from youth, parents, sexual health and violence prevention experts, healthcare providers, and so forth. It also clearly states that the schools will retain local control through the selection of curriculum and instructional materials. So again, this argument that we're deferring to the national standards is simply, to borrow a word, not accurate. And by the way, don't take my word for the importance of this legislation. Look at who has supported and developed this legislation from a stakeholder standpoint. The Ann and Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital of Chicago, the Illinois Public Health Association, the Illinois Coalition Against Domestic Violence. I will choose to stand with medical experts and survivors.
And I see Representative McCombie shaking her head, so I know that there is some disagreement here, but unfortunately we're out of time and we do have to leave it there. Lots to discuss here. My thanks to State Senator Ram Vilivalam and State Representative Tony McCombie for joining us.
Few things. He said, first off, that it is not along the standards, the guidelines of the National Sex Education Standard. But then on the flip side, when it started out, that's how the bill was adopted.
Absolutely.
It was adopted by the revised National States Sex Education Standards. That's where all of this information is being pulled from.
Absolutely.
The other thing he said is that it's medically accurate, which may be all good and true, but is that medical accuracy conducive for kindergartners and first graders?
And who has the right to determine whether a child is exposed to that medically? I mean, listen.
Absolutely.
A colonoscopy is medically also accurate, but do you want your kid to try to perform one? Absolutely not. I mean, come on. Yeah. So what they're actually doing is they're trying to justify what they've done and how they're doing it, and hoping that parents are not listening close enough to catch the language, because they are injecting a lot of language into this as well. Yeah. Very good. We do have another video. We're not going to show it right this minute, but I want to also bring you all your attention to a website. It's called Amaze, AMAZE.org, and it is an entire website that has a portal for educators, a portal for parents, and a portion for kids that is dedicated to sex education on this level, on the level that we're talking about.
Okay.
So they have everything on here about sexual orientation, gender identity, puberty. The subtitle is Having Sex at Puberty. They have here HIV prevention, how you can do this. Now we're talking children, how you can have sex and prevent HIV. They have, you name it. It's just an entire website and portal, and it's a free portal. And so this stuff is everywhere, you guys. I mean, it is not just in the schools, it is everywhere. And I said that because I want parents to be aware of the fact that if our children are going into these schools and they're piquing their curiosity about stuff, they're going to come home and they're going to research some more. They're going to look for some more. They're going to take keywords. And parents, you have to you have to get involved. You have to be more involved in what your children are doing on the internet and things like that. You know, there was a time where all you had to worry about with the kids was MySpace. Okay,
right.
Was MySpace,
Right.
And now is everybody's space.
Yeah.
And there's also an interactive part of this, which is a hotbed for pedophiles to come on as teachers or as concerned parents and have these sexual conversations with your children. And so please, again, we ask you to open your eyes and open your ears and watch your children. You know, I know we have these issues where it's like, you know, I don't want my child to think I don't trust them. I'm telling you, don't trust them. They're kids. Don't trust them. Because children are naturally curious. And with everything that's going on in the public school, that curiosity is being piqued, it's being prodded. They're going to come home and they're not going to come home and talk to you about it. They won't.
And not only is it being piqued in the schools, but also television and videos and everything that we see. The other day, my niece, she was watching TV and there was a commercial that came on about shaving. Because these commercials have gone to a point to where they're showing actual shaving close to your private areas. And that's what this commercial was. And so she asked me, she said, "TT, do you shave?" So that, you know, that piqued her curiosity to want to know, okay, what is this all about? Because of what she saw and because of what she heard. This Amaze website that you were just talking about, it says Amaze takes the awkward out of sex ed. What it's basically saying is that it takes the obscurity out of it.
It does.
Some things with these kids need to be obscure. There are some things that they are not ready to know about. It says real info in fun, animated videos that give you all the answers you actually want to know about sex, your body, and relationships. And they're using these cartoon characters.
And so with teaching kindergartners about masturbation, because that really is, and we're going to look at this video here in a minute, that really is where they're starting with them. And the concentration in this video that we're going to watch has to do with it's okay to make yourself feel good. It's okay to have, you know, these types of pleasures, and it's nothing wrong with it. It's totally normal. It's totally acceptable. But my thing is, if it's totally acceptable for them to do that to their bodies in secret, it's totally acceptable for someone else to do it to their body as well.
Secret.
And so again, it's priming our children to accept pedophilia as a normal, natural thing. This thing is huge, you guys. I mean, it is absolutely enormous. And the tentacles that's reaching out of it, they're going to reach into your house.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It really is. So we want to look at this last video. I know we've already been here in half an hour, but it's okay. We want to move into this next video.
Okay.
Are we ready for the next video? Okay. You guys take a peek at this. This is education. This is a sex education video that was actually rolled out in the state of New York. It was a private school whereby the parents pay $55,000 a year. Now that's college tuition. $55,000 a year for their children 1st through 12th grade to attend this school. And this was rolled out to the 1st graders. Take a look at this.
Is an ongoing campaign by some radicals to basically indoctrinate your kids in their version of sexual values. The biggest problem is that this sort of radical position is becoming quite mainstream across the land. You're seeing public school educators who have decided that if you teach your kids traditional biblical values with regard to sexuality, for example, that this is a form of indoctrination and that you are a bad parent. That if you don't teach your kids about gender fluidity, that if you don't teach your kids about the exact moral equivalence between different forms of sexual activity, then this means that you are somehow depriving your children. And this has driven the radicals to new depths. Today's story, courtesy of Daily Wire, parents at New York City's elite private Dalton School have come out in force against videos dealing with the topic of masturbation that were shown to their 1st grade children. Parents who sent their kids to the $55,000 a year school have bombarded the school with complaints about Dalton Director of Health and Wellness, Justine Eng Fonte's curriculum, the New York Post reported. Fonte showed 6-year-olds a cartoon during her sex ed class that featured small children discussing touching themselves because, quote, it feels good. Here's what that cartoon sounded like.
How come my penis gets big sometimes and points up in the air?
That's called an erection.
Sometimes I touch my penis because it feels good.
Sometimes when I'm in my bath or when Mom puts me to bed, I like to touch my vulva too. You have a clitoris there, Kayla, that probably feels good to touch the same way Keith's penis feels good when he touches it. But have you ever noticed that older kids and grown-ups don't touch their private parts in public?
They don't?
That's right, Keith. It's okay to touch yourself and see how different body parts feel, but it's best to only do it in private.
I mean, first of all, I just have a question. Since that seems kind of judgmental to me. I mean, so long as they're teaching kids about masturbation in first grade, I don't see why it should only be in private. I mean, shouldn't we learn from the innocence of the children? I mean, truly, if you're on the radical left and you believe that this sort of stuff should be taught to the children, why? I mean, really, isn't that, why are you teaching them shame? Are you kink shaming these children?
So notice now, again, these are first graders. That's just really hard to take. These are first graders. Your first graders are what, 6 years old, because kindergartners are 5. So your 6-year-old is encouraged to go home, touch themselves. And the emphasis here is, but make sure you keep it a secret. You do it in private, okay? The very thing that we as parents have been saying to our children almost until from the time that they can understand, if anybody does anything to you in secret, you need to tell us. But they're now they're indoctrinating our children to say, don't say anything.
Right.
Go home and feel good.
Yeah.
And so when Uncle Festus shows up and makes little Diana feel good, she automatically has been programmed.
Right.
I'm not going to say anything because this is private, because grown-ups don't tell. And I want to be a big girl.
Yes.
I want to be a big boy. I want to be like the older kids.
Yes.
This thing is really raunchy and nasty and diabolical.
And it's not going to stop there. That is only the starting point, the entry point to explore and to find out, okay, well, what else about me do I not know? And what else, how much further can I go that's going to make me feel good? Absolutely. And so it creates an attraction. Actually, it attracts sexual demonic spirits.
It does.
It creates an attraction to, because once you start masturbating and feeling around and all of that stuff, I mean, it's opening you up to a realm, a demonic realm that is only the starting point. It is not going to stop there.
Yeah, it starts there.
Absolutely.
That's where it starts.
You know,
we all know that.
Yeah, I always say that you don't have sex one time. There's no way you're going to have sex one time.
No. That's a whole Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Once it's open, the lock is broke. I mean, listen, not only is there no lock, there's no door. The whole thing just get ripped off. You can't close that up.
Wow.
You all grown folks, y'all know that. That's why y'all struggling, okay? Praise the Lord. So what about our kids?
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right, Apostle. This thing opens our children up spiritually to an entire world that they neither them or you, the parent, is ready for.
Yeah.
Because I want you to think about for those parents that may have older teens that have gotten involved in sexual activity. It's very hard to get that under control. And so they are teaching our children to get out of control at a very, very young age.
Yes.
This thing is wide open.
Yes.
And I am concerned. We're praying and we're going to keep on talking about it. We are going to keep on talking about it.
Absolutely. And not only are we just going to talk about it, we have an alternative. We have a solution.
Yes.
Excel Homeschool Academy is beginning September 7th, grades K through 5. We can pull our children out. This book says get out now.
Yes.
Because there is no turning this thing around. We will not be able to salvage this and turn it around in this generation. We will lose this generation trying to turn it around.
Yes,
it's too entrenched. It's already too far down the track. And so in this alternative, in the solution, Excel Homeschool Academy. Look us up online. Enroll your kids. Registration is now taking place. We have open registration, and we're going to be taking kids even after the school year begins, because I believe that parents are going to become so aware of what's taking place in this public school system, in this arena, and they're going to want to pull their kids out.
Absolutely.
Excel Homeschool Academy is an alternative.
I got the first call today, Apostle, with someone asking, can we set this up in my town? And I said, absolutely.
Yes.
So we're gonna work with them and talk with them about getting something like this set up right there where they are. It's an exciting thing.
Mm-hmm.
We praise God for the opportunity to do it, but even more, we thank God for giving us the ability to reach into a generation and to rescue them from what's coming, because it is coming. No matter how much we want to say it's not, this thing is coming to your house. And so we have an open house tonight. We ask our viewers to keep us in prayer. Parents are coming in. They're looking at the school. Many of them, well, they've already decided. They're just coming in to get their packets and get their registrations and their online information and tuitions and all of those kinds of things. So we thank God for you tuning in with us today.
Yes.
We really do. And we ask that you just share, because we have been on lockdown, so we're not able to put this out, but you can do that for us.
Yes.
So,
and we don't know what's coming down the pike. We can see the signs of things shifting and turning around again. We see that our governor again has instituted this mask mandate.
yes.
And so we just really don't know what's coming, but we need to be proactive, and we are being proactive.
Absolutely.
In order that we might be equipped and equip our children, train our children in excellence and in the things of God.
Absolutely. The last thing we want to say is prophetic ed is jumping off, effective tomorrow for the prophets that are out there, people that want to know what God is, where we're going in our future, what's happening, not only what God is doing, but what these devils are out here doing. Come on in. We do have a registration at the door. It is the same price. You can register also through Eventbrite. Just look for Preparing Prophets 2021 on Eventbrite. You can register. We're going to be here for 2 days, laying it out, understanding, getting ourselves ready as prophets, because we got war that's coming. There's war at the gates, people of God. So come on in, prophets. Let's get ourselves equipped. We are so happy that you came and joined in with us today.
Yes.
So I'm Apostle Nona Ray.
And I'm Apostle Glenda Ray.
And we are God's girls, keeping it real. God bless you and have a great rest of your week.
We'll see you next time.